Hello guys, I hope everyone is well. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with a very interesting SQL problem where I will show you how recursive CTE works. And let's just see what the problem says, then we will try to solve it. So in today's problem, we have been given a table, store table basically. So where we have store IDs, either the store is active or not, and transfer to the next store ID basically. So if you see this 54, the store ID has been transferred to the next store ID is nothing but 77. Okay. So we'll have to generate something like this, store ID and current ID. Okay. Store ID and current ID. And so what, so if what, how you need to understand is basically look at this. So let's say for store ID 25, right? So store ID 25, this transferred to next store ID is null. So that means for 25, 25 itself is the next ID because it hasn't been transferred to the any of the store ID. So this is the current ID for 25. So for 25, this is the current ID, current store ID. Okay. But if you look at the example for 10, right? So 10 has been transferred to 14. Now 14 has been transferred to 20. 20 has been transferred to where it is? Yeah, 25. And 25 has been transferred to nowhere, right? So for 10, 25 is the final value. I mean, the current ID is 25 for 10. Store ID 10, 25 is the current ID. Why? Because this store ID is being transferred every time. Let's say for time to time it is being transferred. For 10 is being transferred to 14. So at one point of time 10 has been transferred to 14. And after that, and one point of time 14 has been transferred to 20. And another point of time 20 has been transferred to 25. And another point of time 25 has been transferred to nowhere. So 25 is the current ID for 10. Okay, so in this way you need to read it. Basically, in this way you need to read this. For 10, if you see the current ID is 25. So this holds applicable to all the store IDs available in the table. Okay, I think the question is clear. Okay, so let's just see how we can solve it. So this is our data. So I have already created the data. This is our data, right? How we are going to solve it? Okay, so here we will make use of the recursive CTE. Okay, we will make use of the recursive CTE. So how we need to write with recursive CTE as, okay. Now in the recursive CTE, so we need to generate the base query first. We need to generate the base query first. So what is the base query? So base query is when the store is active, store ID is the current ID, right? When the store is active, the store ID for store ID is the current ID. So how we are going to write it? Select ID as store ID, right? ID as store ID and ID as current ID, right? ID as current ID. And I'm creating a label on which level we are. So in the first level, I'm just creating 0 as label from store where is active equals to 1. So what I'm saying? I'm saying that, so in the in the base query, when the transfer to next store ID is null or is active equals to 1. So this store is actually active. So when the store is active, the ID for that store is basically equal to the current ID of that store, right? So that's why I'm writing select ID as store ID, ID as current ID, 0 as level from store where is active equals to 1. And after that, union all. So now we need to write our recursive process. We need to write our recursive process. So in the recursive process, what columns we need, I will come to that point. But let's just write the from clause first. From, so we'll make use of recursive CTE because this CTE I'm going to call it again recursive CTE as A, inner join store as B, okay, store as B on A dot store ID equals to B dot transfer to next store ID. So what I'm saying, so from this base query, we will get these rows, right? Fourth row, seventh row, 10, 11, 12, and 14th row. I'm saying take the store ID from the base query. So these are the store IDs. Let's say this one, right? Let's just do it for one. Take the store ID, join with the transfer to next store ID. So 25 will be joined with this. This 25 will be joined with this, right? Now what columns we need? What columns we need? So if I try to join this, so I'm getting this ID, right? So that will come from the B table, right? In from the stored table, right? So this row is actually there in the stored table. So that's why I'm writing B dot ID as store ID, comma. Now think, if I join these two, I will get this, right? But but I need the store ID, which is actually the current. So what is current? This is current, right? This row is current. So if I join this row with this row is this particular ID is current ID, right? So that's why I will make use of this value, right? So a dot current ID as current ID, comma level plus 1. Understood? So what I'm doing, so I told you, right? So this row is getting joined with this row. So when I'm joining with based on the ID and transfer to next door ID, if I join these rows on the basis of this and this, so this is the current row. So from this particular query, I'll be getting 20 as the store ID and 25 is the current ID. So like this, right? For 20 and 25, and this is the store ID and this is the current ID for store ID 20, right? Correct. And previously we got like this, right? 25 and 25, right? Right. From this particular base query, you got this 25 and 25. Now I'm getting 20, 25 because of this b dot id, nothing but this a dot current id. So a dot current id is nothing but this value. So this, I'm getting 25. Now we will drill down to another step. So now think about this. If I join this particular row, now this is the our current row, right? From this step. So I'm joining this particular, row with this row, right? Again, it will be joined with based on the store ID. This is the store ID, and this is the transfer to next store ID, right? So what I'm taking b dot id. What is b dot id? Nothing but 14, correct? So I'm taking 14 as the store ID, correct? And I am taking a dot current ID. What is a? This is nothing but a. Where the pointer is? This is the a table, right? This is A. This particular row is in the A, nothing but the recursive city. And this is our B, nothing but store. So what I'm taking A dot current ID. What is the current ID? This 25, right? So it will come as 25. Okay. Now think about another step. So I'm joining 14. So this is our recursive city. This is in the recursive city. That means in the A table, right? In the alias A. Now, if I try to join this value with this value, correct? So what I'm on which I'm joining store ID 10, 14, right? Store ID 14 with the transfer to the next store ID 14. So what I'm taking b dot id. What is b dot id? 10, correct? So I'll be getting 10, correct? I'll be getting 10. Now, what is the a dot current id? A is coming from which table? This is the recursive city. This particular row is in the recursive city. That's why I'm taking a dot current id. What is a dot current id? This value, right? So this value will come, right? So this way you need to think it whenever you are trying to write a query. You need to think it how my output is getting generated. Then only you'll be able to write a proper query. Okay, I think this makes it clear, right? Okay, so now we are halfway done. Now in the last step we will have to select store id, comma current id from recursive city. Okay, so if I run this, I'll be getting the exact output. See, for 25, the current ID is 25 because of this query, and the rest is coming from the you know recursive part of the query, right? So it is basically getting joined, and it is taking the current ID, the way I have explained. So I think this is pretty clear. I hope this will give you a clear sense of how recursive CTE works. If you have any questions or suggestion, please let me know in the comment section. I'll give the data to the description box for you to practice. You try it and post your solution and let me know like how you did it. If you have any new questions, just send it to me via email or something. I'll try to solve it for you, and that will be helpful for everyone. And if you like the solution, please share it with your friends. Don't, you know, just see it and follow me on Instagram as well as in LinkedIn as well as in YouTube. Till then, thank you. Goodbye.